Welcome, Tahira. Thank you for having this talk with us. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. As we discussed, we're basically just going to talk through your career, being a woman, being Black, and in the entertainment industry, your struggles and how you've been able to overcome those, and also what what the U.S. entertainment industry can offer the African market, seeing that the African market is getting majorly recognized. And I mean, we had 2 Grammy winners at the last Grammys, and it's very exciting. And so we're just going to talk through that and just get your perspective on these things.
Great. Awesome.
Okay. The first question I want to ask is basically just take us back to the beginning, how it started for you, how you found yourself in this industry, because I know that you didn't originally start out in the entertainment industry. So we'd just like to know how you found yourself here.
Yeah, I think my road is not that traditional. I actually do find that a lot of people, especially in the industry, some people know right away what they want to do. And I think that's easy for like the actors or the dancers. But if you're doing a lot of like behind the scenes, I think, or producing work, I don't think it's a normal path usually. So I started out actually thinking I was going to be a lawyer. Yeah. I started out as a law firm. I moved to like a private equity firm. Then I was doing business development. I was there in Equatorial Guinea with you guys. And then I kind of found my way back, and I kept working at different banks or firms and trying to find a way to merge this passion I've always had. I went to high school for the performing arts. I went to Sarah Lawrence for college for writing, and I kept trying to find ways to merge all the things I wanted to do and how I could be happy, because it's very much still, I have a business mindset. Yeah. I love to tackle those problems, but I do love the industry. And I found that synergy in producing, because putting together TV shows and hopefully eventually films and all that, you have to be able to see the whole picture. And that's going from casting to how much things cost to where would be the best way and place to tell a story. So, it took a while of searching and really figuring out. And I don't think I knew what a producer was in the beginning. I mean, I think some people still don't know, but it's as I started working more in the industry, I was like, oh, this is an aspect I like. I thought I wanted to be a writer, and I'm like, nope, I'd rather like find the good stories and tell them instead of having to sit and write it in a room, because I'm not sitting down for hours or years, to like cultivate these amazing stories. I want to find them and bring them to life. So I think a non-traditional path, but I think it really helps me now produce. I mean, I think it helps me relate to talent really well, because I've kind of been all over the globe and interacted with tons of different people and in different settings. So, it just kind of, and then I took a jump. I left, I think it was like 2016, decided to leave like corporate America, as you call it, and start in the industry. And I started as like an associate producer, and I've just been working my way up since.
That's very great. And you've achieved so much so far. It's really great to hear, actually. Just before I go to my next question, I just wanted to ask, like, how long did you spend on the African continent? I know you went Equatorial Guinea, Zimbabwe, I think.
My mom moved to Zim when I was almost like 16. So I actually spent summers there, and then I'd finish. And then I started college at the time, and I'd come back for summers. And then I spent 1 year at a law firm, and then I came back to work for a Zimbabwean private equity firm. And so then I spent another 2 years there. So and then I was in Johannesburg for about 6 months, and then Equatorial Guinea for almost a year.
Did you enjoy your time across these different countries? Because it's like, I mean, Equatorial Guinea is so much different from Zim, from SA, like different cultures. Did you have a nice time though?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think if it wasn't, South Africa, I think, is on my places to move to next. And I think that's somewhere where I could still be in the industry and work. So definitely, I mean, I feel like that's home for me. Yeah. Between there and Jamaica.
Yes. South Africa is actually a great country. I'm actually, I mean, I'm handling this interview from South Africa, and I'm originally from Nigeria. So Great place. I agree.
Yeah. That I haven't been to Nigeria yet, though.
You
so
should.
Hopefully.
We'll get there. You should, you should totally come. You should totally do. We're lovely people. It's a lovely country. Just put that in there before we continue.
Good.
So my next question would be, you coming from the corporate background, even corporate backgrounds where it's hard for women to even advance in their career, and just going into this new career in entertainment. How was it for you as a Black woman? How does the transition easy? Did you face any particular struggles?
Well, I think, it's been something, and I think just where I grew up and all that, I've always kind of been like the only one in the room, which has been, when I worked at Merrill Lynch, I was definitely one of the only Black females at my level. There was one very senior Black female at Merrill Lynch, like at least in my division. There were very few women. There are definitely always few people of color. And, I think that's changing, or at least they're trying to change it a lot in entertainment. But I think some of my early shows, I might have been the only person like of color on the set. On the female side, I've been lucky to really work for a lot of female executive producers, which has been really great. So there has been female representation, which especially as I've become a mother, has meant a lot. It makes a difference working for a woman who's also had kids, because as much as you're still expected to go 100%, there is a different level of understanding. When I'm like, I'll call you back, I just need to put him to sleep,
Totally. And I mean, that's great, because then she also understands, what you're going through, because she's been through it and she's able to factor that in.
Exactly. And there aren't a lot. I mean, I think there aren't a lot, or at least that I've encountered. And I mean, I'm still obviously growing and working and trying to go up, but it's hard to find. I mean, most industries have always been male dominated industries. So it's difficult, but I think it's learning to navigate. I think it's having good mentors and people around you that always like reinforce that, you are meant to be in this room. You deserve to be there. You can hold your own. And even sometimes when that voice creeps in, like, it is no difference because you're a female, because you're a person of color, that you cannot be here. So I think that's an important thing to always have in the back of your head, but it's people who kind of give that to you, having a good village and support system and people who kind of inspire you to believe that.
Yeah. I mean, and that just leads me to my next question, because I find that I'm Nigerian, so I grew up here predominantly, right? And I did a stint in New York for a bit, but just coming from here, especially being a woman, people sort of, as is your family and friends, sort of tend to downplay what you do or what you can do, sort of puts the guy like, okay, so you're going to get married, so this is just your role. You must fit into that stereotype. So yeah, I understand. It's very important to have that support system. Either maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a good family system of friends that just encourage you to keep going and ignore the negativity or the stereotypes that they're trying to typecast you into. For you, growing up, did you have supportive family, supportive, friend system just going into this career? Because having to change from a corporate career to the entertainment industry, being Nigerian, my parents would be like, what? No, never, you can't do that. Like, I know that they would sort of kick against it. So for you, were your parents supportive of your change in career?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but I think, So, I mean, my mom is a powerhouse, which is really, really great. And I mean, she has completely, I think she's a lawyer by training, but has gone to, she's done like the traditional, like in-house, like firms, to moving in-house to doing Goldman, and then like saying, forget it, and going to Zimbabwe and starting companies. So she's done the more traditional US track, and then has also gone out on her own path. So she's always been super, super supportive that way, and very encouraging, and but also kind of realistic. Like, she was also, especially when I was applying to schools, making sure that I can always still provide for myself no matter what my passion or what I want to be able to do. I joke sometimes that like ambition's the worst thing my mom gave me, because like sometimes it'd be nice to just be like, no, I just want to sit at home and do that, like I envy people who like that's what they want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it just, that's not what I've wanted to do. But yeah, and then I think at very pivotal points in my life, I've met really good people who also said, yes, you can jump, or yes, you can do it, or you'll figure it out, or, you know, and your guy's NJ, he's a very big part of that. I met him at a very pivotal point in my life. And, you know, he wasn't the traditional, and he's not a traditional lawyer.
No,
There's so many facets, and just literally kind of teaching that, you know, anything's possible. Like, don't get limited or stick into one box if you have more to offer, you know? And so after leaving the continent and all that, I was really looking for, how do I utilize everything I think I have to offer?
Yeah, that's very great to hear, because I mean, speaking of NJ, like he's not traditional lawyer, and he's been very encouraging and pushing people into, you know, different paths. Like, do what you want to do, even if it's still within the corporate world or law, you know, you can still achieve things. But just speaking for people that don't have supportive parents, or they don't have these friends or mentors that, you know, are encouraging, what do you think that they can do? Because I've met people who are unable to sort of, you know, follow their dreams or just move to a different career, things that they desperately want to do, just because they're still living with their parents, and their parents are refusing to cater for them if they change, or, you know, and there's nobody, you know, helping to support them or to encourage them or to, you know, just push them to take that next step towards their dreams.
Yeah. Well, I think so much is out there now. Like, I would say grind, and hustle. You know what I mean? I think there's so much information, like, on the web, like trying to find, I guess it's twofold, right? If you don't have that kind of people and support behind you, I think A, you kind of unfortunately have to give it to yourself, or B, also there's so much out there, I think, in terms of, especially where the world is right now, like encouragement and kind of resources, and also groups to kind of really help people do that you kind of have to sit there and search for it to try and get or find the community that you want to, you know, which is obviously easier said than done depending on where you're located in the world. But I do think there are ways to get it from within, or then find it through, you know, whether that's affirmations, or whether there's certain apps, or like inspirational from people you admire. Spotify is a podcast for everything, you know?
Yeah, true.
And then I also think that, I think the hardest thing, and something I've learned, is like, I haven't fully jumped until I felt like I could jump safely. So sometimes that means, like, I was still working in corporate when I was getting my foot in the door to the entertainment, and I didn't leave until I at least knew for a year I could support myself on this if it failed, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like that grind period, and it's like, someone had a good quote, you know, you'll never forget all the time, you'll never regret the time and effort you put into something, but you'll regret not doing it. And so, you know, I'm not like downplaying how hard it is to jump into different industries or try and go against the grain from what everyone, I mean, especially as you're talking about, you know, like being Nigerian and people on the continent, it's like, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, or like an engineer. But, you know, it's like, I would do that until you are in a safe and secure enough position to pivot, or find a way to merge the two where you can feel maybe you're now a doctor for entertainment, like people, or athletes, or whatever, you know. There's so many different options now you can go. So I think it's trying to find, I never say jump without a parachute. So find the safe way to do it, or try to start transitioning into the industry you want.
And that's very great. It's very useful advice, really, because there's so many people that, you know, are just looking for that push, that lifeline to, you know, pivot to the next career path of their dreams, really. I wanted to ask, because I find that nowadays there's so much going on, as you said. People can just go on the internet and get resources. There's so many people putting stories out there, fake or real. We're bombarded with information. And I know it's hard to kind of balance that between being a private person, being a celebrity, and trying to keep your private life private, and at the same time trying to sort of inspire other people with like your story. How do you balance that? Because I know, like, everybody wants their privacy. I can imagine people hounding you, and people just, you know, and then you also you have a child now, you want to keep everything, you know, just keep your private life safe and private. So how do you balance that between trying to sort of help other people with your story, with your life, because your life, just hearing how you changed career paths might be inspiring to other people. So how do you balance keeping your privacy and then telling your story at the same time?
Well, that is a constant struggle for me.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the problem is I kind of live like two lives, right? So I mean, I don't consider myself a celebrity, but like I am in front of the camera in certain, in a capacity, but most of my real work is behind the camera and producing. So it's hard because for my in front of the camera work, you know, you want to be able to like use like your platform or do whatever, but it's very hard. Like I struggle with whether I want to put my son on Instagram or not, because personally I would, but I also have a certain number of followers because of my in front of the camera work. And then people want to see it. Like I've been sleep training and I'm like shocked when people respond to like, you know, they're like, just get through it or this or or for advice. And I'm like, I'm a new mom also figuring it out, but it's also helpful to have that portal, but it's such a struggle for me because I'm like, some of this is so private to me. And, you know, and I really went back and forth on whether I would even put his face on camera. And I think as he gets to a certain age, that'll end, as his face is definitely his face. And, you know, it's not, I don't think, my decision to really make. But it's such a struggle because it's like, I don't think I have a huge platform, but I have a little bit of one, and anything I can do to kind of help at times, I think it's important too. And especially, you know, because I think people get so, it's easy to be categorized as one thing, especially when you see something on TV, and it's like, it's also a job, you know, like I treat that as one job that I have. And so sometimes I have to be more entertaining for that job, or sometimes I have to give it a bit more. And that's not necessarily me at home. And so I struggle going back and forth on what I show, what I really reveal of myself, and how the two can merge, and, you know, staying true to who I am. And also part of my job is to entertain.
But you're right. It's important to find that fine balance, and it's very personal. It's different for different people. But if you wanted to, like, I know, like, I just said it's different for different people, but do you think, because I feel like we're going into a very digital world right now, everything's on the internet, everybody's lives. So people, entertainers or people in the industry that sort of are trying to keep their life private, like they're not putting anything out there, do you think that they're sort of missing out on, you know, another level of, like, you know, another, I don't even know how to describe it now. Do you think they're missing out on, like, on something that they can sort of tap into with that public life thing that people are doing now on Instagram? Because people are sort of reaching more people and making more money from, you know, putting their lives out there on Instagram. Whether they're or celebrities, people are doing that. So for the other group of people that think, oh, you know, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to keep my life, do you think that, you know, they should sort of suck up and be like, you know, there's an opportunity cost we're living on the table from not doing this publicity thing on Instagram or on Twitter or TikTok?
Yeah. Well, I think that really depends on people's goals and who needs it and who doesn't need it. Like, I wish Adele would put more on Instagram, but she doesn't need to. And I would love to know more about what's going on with her. But I think it depends on where you're trying to go. Like for me, I'm pivoting more to like pulling back and not wanting, I want, you know, my work to be the first thing that goes first instead of my face, you know? So, and that's just where I'm kind of transitioning. But at the same time, there are things that are fun about being out there and, you know, like having people respond to things, or like I use the example again, when I'm sleep training, there's a whole, like, thousands of people who are like, we're here, you can do this, or, you know, and I think it depends what group you're falling into. So, I think it's important to not leave things on the table and tap into, you know, the social media aspects. I'm moving more into the working mom, traveling kind of, that's where I'm geared at on Instagram, as opposed to other things where, and some people, I think it really depends what your goals are. And that's why it's important to have, you know, good representation, good agency, or a clear head. So, you know, that if you're, you know, that might not be great for some athletes, for example, to be too out there, because you don't want to be known for your personal life. You want to be known for what you're doing. Some people, it's a great balance for them to have, because now it is true, notoriety gets you further in some circles than what you actually have to bring to the table. So I think I don't know. I think you just have to be very smart, because the one thing is these things won't go away. They will be able to be found for years and years and years.
Yes.
So.
The internet does not forget. We learn that every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Something interesting you just talked about, representation, the importance of good representation, because I mean, I don't think we can overemphasize that. But I'm coming from a background where before I left Nigeria, I think I moved to New York, I don't think half of the entertainers or the guys in the entertainment industry, actors, influencers, singers, I don't think any of them had representation. It was just, hey, I have a song, come and sing. Oh yeah, we made a song, we'll put it out there, and then you get peanuts. And it's like, oh, I made money from something, and they're like, okay, but your song is now, has now traveled to the US and is bringing in much more revenue. But yeah, you're not on the thing at all. You're not listed as a contributor at all, so you don't make any money. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So I'm like, okay, so why don't you speak to a lawyer or even a manager or someone, not your friend, not your drinking buddy, like someone who actually knows the industry. And so you've been in the industry, I mean, you've been on the corporate side of things, and now you're in the industry since 2016. What is the importance of legal representation or any representation at all in just dealing with people in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can stress enough how much legal representation is. I mean, a lot of the contracts that I do, they can't stand my lawyer, because she does not care. If they're like, it's not that big of a deal, and she's like, if you're signing it, it is. And that could be from the littlest of an Instagram post to like series contracts. You know what I mean? You have to, because perpetuity is the biggest word that everyone needs to know. And I think you need to make sure that you have someone defending your interests, because you don't know what you don't know. And you can't know it if you didn't go to law school or get a degree or know what to look out for. And especially pertaining to certain industries. Like, you don't want a tax lawyer, like, looking at your entertainments. You won't, actually, those two you do want, but you want someone who has the knowledge behind it, And I think a lot of people, I mean, there on the continent, here as well in the US, they got screwed. There was money up front, and that seemed like a really good deal. And then you realize, nope, that's not where the power is. And that's not how you continue to, earn money based on what you've put out there. And so, I've been around the music industry a lot. My aunt was very successful in the industry, and I've seen how they've kind of come up and, really pioneered. But it just shows you how quickly people can get screwed without proper representation. And I think even if it's small, you pay someone to look at it. Even if your first contract is only $1,000 and it's going to cost you $600, you don't know what you might be saving yourself later down the line. So always.
Yeah. And then this is particularly important now because of the way the African market is now exploding, and inviting a lot of foreign investors like Netflix and the Amazon. Everybody's coming in, everybody wants a pile of the African market, and it actually is now more important than ever, because these deals are well, I would just, for lack of a better word, international deals. If nobody's looking at it, you will get screwed. You could get screwed.
Exactly.
Nobody is looking out for your interest when they have their interest to look out for. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know what you don't know. So find someone who does.
Yeah, absolutely. I just been telling lots of entertainers that I meet nowadays, like, lawyer's expensive, you say, like, lawyer's expensive, take half the money. Yeah, but you're going to lose more than half the money if you don't speak to someone. You're going to lose a lot more if you're not speaking to someone who understands what they're doing. My internet is a bit unstable. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, you froze for a little bit, but you're back.
Okay. Speaking of the African market and everything that is happening, and how, it seems like some light has been shone on the market, and things are becoming more global than they were a few years ago, really. What are your thoughts? What do you think is the next step? What do you think is the next play for the African market? What should we be preparing for? What should we be doing? Where should we be positioning ourselves to make sure that we don't get the short end of the stick in terms of this growth that's happening now in the industry for the African market?
I don't know if I'm as great as a forecaster, but I think there is finally, I think the great thing is that no matter what in the African market, even though maybe like the global environment wasn't shining a light, like especially in terms of like TV and movies and entertainment. No matter what, you guys were still pushing. I mean, Nigeria created its whole other industry that then made people pay attention, you know. And I think the great thing about right now is that there is focus. There are setting up like Netflix South Africa's and different places that people just need to put themselves out there and get trained, put yourself in the position to get your craft seen. I think it's not saying that I don't think the movement might be long term, but here it is right now, and like there's no reason to wait for it. Like I'm not really much of a predictor that way, but I think the thing is everyone wants unique stories and unique sounds, and the market is super saturated right now. So as anyone who is different or has a different sound or a different take on things, I think there's room for recognition. So
absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you. Just speaking about just the fact that we had 2 Grammy winners at the last Grammys, and I mean, lots of Nigerians have been nominated before, but this is the first time that we have winners from like homegrown winners. Like they actually started out in Nigeria and then exported their sound to the US. And so it was super fantastic night for Africa, for Nigeria. It was fantastic. And it really just shows that, you know, like you said, we created a whole sound, a movie industry also, like, and then people are finally paying attention. They've been grinding for so long, and it just seems like what you like, just, I know it's not like a prediction, just wanted to get your insight on something, like, because the sound is homegrown, like the movies are homegrown, and they've been successfully exported to multiple jurisdictions, like to the US, like Asia, and I mean, some people with different tastes, I would say. With the Western investors coming in now, I feel like things may, you know, be less, for lack of a better word, local. They might just be sort of just American culture might be infused in sort of the sound or even the movies. Do you think, because I know people have been criticized, like Nigerian musicians, some of them have been criticized for like trying to cross over, sort of like getting foreign American representation, trying to have American record deals, as when people say, oh, but you started out here, and then you should keep being here, and then force them to listen to us, stay here. So what do you think? Do you think that it's a good idea? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, to be honest, because it really depends. I know, but I just want to hear your thoughts on what you think about people trying to cross over as opposed to staying put in where they started out from, where they gained success from.
Yeah, people have to do what they have to do. I don't think people should be trying to like stop someone else's success or like localize it. I think, you know, if you're able to get an American deal and be recognized on that, which is still a very big platform, I think keep your music true to who you are, keep your art the same, and then you can do you can have way more of an impact from a bigger stage than a smaller one, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong in seeking out bigger, better contracts. I mean, stay true to what you put out there in your music, but why not do it globally? I don't think that takes away from someone, you know, and like, we're always trying to tell you to stay somewhere or stay put or stay local. Like, no, go for it, go out there, but stay true to who you are and what you put out.
I agree with you. But there's so many people today. The internet has given so many people like the like voices have opinions, and so they're saying things in your ear. They're criticizing people for just, you know, getting that juicy deal or taking that crossover leap and all, and it's just a lot of noise. And you're like, okay, boy, he's still Nigerian. He's not less Nigerian because he's singing with, you know, Justin Bieber, for example. Like it's still a Nigerian sound.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that should be congratulated and like commend it. You know what I mean? I don't think, I mean, there'll always be haters. People always hate or try to keep you in a certain box and do it. And it's really kind of a way of keeping you down. I mean, why not? Why isn't that an amazing success as opposed to someone being a sellout or leaving their roots? Like they're born there. They're always going to have those roots, don't change. Like that's where you're from, but where you want to go or your trajectory can only go up. So I don't believe that.
Absolutely. I agree with you, actually. So speaking of what you do and the African market, since we're here, is there any like collaboration in the future? Do you see yourself working in SA or in Nollywood with this amazing talent? We have so many.
No, that is definitely a goal of mine and something I want to do, I think, for personal reasons as well. I think just having lived there and spent time, there's so many stories that I think I want to be able to tell and like get out there. And it's just so great that there's finally, you know, a market or a place for it. Because whenever you think of a show concept or go to pitch it, they're like, well, where can you see this airing? And for a long time, it'd be like, who's gonna watch a show about Zimbabweans and like someone moving there, you know? But now it's like, nope, there's actually homes for it, which are really, really great and exciting. So it's definitely a goal of mine. I think it's something towards the second half of the year I'm really looking for. How can I, you know, either develop or work on projects there for sure.
That is fantastic. That's music to my ears, Tahira. I'm totally looking forward to that. I think it would be a fantastic collaboration, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Time, but let me just circle back to our initial discussion about family and just being a woman in the industry. We spoke about you since you just had a child. Again, congrats. I know that's not a baby, but congrats on that. He's fantastic. He's so cute, by the way. So I wanted to find out because I mean, just even last year with the pandemic, you know how it has been just juggling that with what you do. It has been a very intense year for most people, and I'm sure pretty much same for you as well. I just wanted you to tell us how, you know, you've been able to handle that and still keep, you know, looking cool as you look today.
It was rough. I think it was a very rough year, like you just said, for everyone. But, you know, I think having a baby in the middle of a pandemic and even, you know, what's generally such exciting and times and full of celebration were actually, you know, a lot worrisome. And I didn't get to do the same things or have the support of my family because we were all so isolated. So luckily we're in a world of FaceTime and video chat. So that was great that way. Or I couldn't even imagine if this happened, you know, decades ago when you can't even see people or do anything.
True.
But it was, you know, I think I wrote to you too, you know, it takes a village, and I'm like really lucky for like really great friends all over the place. Like you think it's just people around your corner. Like one of my best friends lives in Cape Town. So, I mean, and to feel that constant daily support, you know, that you can do it. I mean, I went back to work after 7 weeks, which was way earlier than I thought.
Way early.
But you know, also with the pandemic, you know, I'd gotten an offer to work on a Netflix show, and it was like, this might not come. People aren't working right now. You know, I'm very grateful to be having an opportunity to work. And at the same time, I was worried about leaving, but I didn't also want an opportunity to pass. And then who knows what would have happened. I mean, I think a lot of unscripted opened up a lot earlier, which was great. And finding ways to still safely film, which is different from, you know, the big studios and all that. There was no way for them right at the beginning to manage. But, you know, it was difficult. And it always is difficult deciding, like, you know, what's worth the time, how to balance it, how to make sure I'm fully there for him. I mean, he's still only 9 months old. And at the same time, still be working on myself and where I want to go. And also, which in turn also provides a great future for him. So it's constantly a struggle, you know, and it's also changed. I think, especially as a producer, you're just expected to be able to pick up and go. I got called for a show on Monday and they're like, need you to fly to California Tuesday. Like, I can no longer do those. I can't do those things anymore. I need at least a couple of days planning. I still make crazy decisions and like I go for a good show, but you know, it's different level of priorities. And so work is up there, but at the same time, I have to give, you know, being a mom, that same 100%. So it's hard. And it's like, it's not always, you know, what my counterparts would have to make any decisions. A lot of, you know, not saying all dads, but not all men have to make those decisions because the wife is someone that goes or whoever their partner is. And, you know, so it's navigating new territory, especially in COVID, because safety is also the biggest concern.
Yeah.
And then
I think you told me you were taking tests, like, I think the last time I talked to you, like last year, you said you were taking tests like every week or something. Like,
three times a week. 3 times a week.
Oh no.
Yeah. And that was like minimum. Sometimes it was every other day.
Yeah, because safety.
So, but you know, it's like, it's what you have to do to like stay safe or still be able to work. Like I can't work if I feel like I'm putting everyone in my house at risk, you know?
Yeah, true.
But, you know, I don't know, I think about it more on like legacy too, and setting up a great stage. Like I know where I want to go and be, and also what kind of life I want him to have. So I'm grinding as hard as a mom as I am still as a professional.
Great. It's great to see. It's great to see. Well done.
Thank you. Trying.
Yeah,
I'll
but
go
it's definitely inspiring. It's so inspiring. Something that's very like I wanted to talk to you about is like the importance of representation, and just having people like you just inspire the rest of us, you know, to be better, to get there, and then just to tell us that we can actually do it. You tell people, you say things like, and I know we're not going to go into that, but you know, when people say, you say Black Lives Matter and people say all lives matter, I'm like, no, we get that, but then there's a need to just identify what the problem is and focus on the problem. We know all lives matter, definitely. We're not crazy people, but we need to zero in on what the actual problem is, which is you're killing Black people, which is why we're saying Black Lives Matter. So it's just the importance of having Black women, you know, doing these great things, achieving great things, having mothers, you know, who just went back to work 7 weeks after you had a child. Like, even I think, wow, no, mind blown.
A little crazy.
Yeah, but it's so inspiring, like that you did it, and like, you know, you can have a baby and still get back to work. You can have a baby and still win a Grand Slam like Serena. You can, you know, be a wife and still do this. You don't have to be a wife and not work because you have a husband. That's just wow. What century are we in? It's really great. It's really great to hear from you. It's really great to just hear everything that you have achieved and that you're doing. And I'm inspired, and I'm sure that anybody that watches this interview will be inspired as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's a big thing. I mean, especially here in the US, I think that's some of the difference, and sometimes a little bit envious, you know, the difference of like living on the continent or being in certain places, like let's take South Africa, for example, and obviously a crazy and tumultuous history. But as of, for example, what was it, the late 1990s, you know, there were people of power who were of color and that you could look up to and say, you know, like, my president is Black. That didn't happen till what, 2000? What was that, 8 here? And, you know, that's crazy. That's 2 different decades of people being able to look up to people who also look like them in positions of power. And so, I mean, I don't think I am like a great stature, but I do think at least like I know on like sets that I'm on, and being able to, you know, look out for people under me who also do look like me or just who aren't represented as well. And that's for females. That's for anyone, you know, who has not come from a more dominant traditional background. Like, you know, that's it. And so I don't think my hope is to affect as much change as I can from my position. And so that's, you know, I do think it's really important for people to see other people of different shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds in positions of power, because it only then just says that could be me. I
agree with you 100%. Thank you. I think it's all the questions that we have for you today. I know I said 30 minutes, but I think I took it 50 minutes. But this was actually interesting. Can we see the baby? Can you bring him before we end? I want to get him in there.
I don't even think he's TV ready, but hold on. He's not. Let's see. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. No problem. I don't, no worries. I don't want to stress him if he's. But he's so cute and so nummy.
Hold on, he's gonna come up. He's gonna come up. Yeah, but no, I mean, I think it's also really great. You know, it's not a small feat also what you guys are doing there, and like your office, and, you know, just having people from all around the continent, young, like really out there and pushing. I mean, that is big.
Yeah.
You know, and being surrounded.
I was gonna say, that's why I'm so grateful for NJ, for example, because just having someone that believes in the continent and in the people, and just because he's, like you said, he's not traditional. I came here straight from New York, and I was corporate finance. I was like, just want to do that. And then I was like, oh, but you like sports, like entertainment. And then go for it. Like, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, I always thought I would eventually do something in entertainment in the future, but I just, you know, got roped into more finance, energy roles. And now he's just giving, like, we have so many people, and he's giving you young people leadership positions just to, you know, advance yourself, advance your career. He's not going to hold you back. Do keep, and not too many African, for lack of a lawyers are like that. Not too many of them give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
They would not give you that spotlight that he's giving us right now. And I mean, it's great. It's great for me personally. It's great for me professionally. Like, yeah, it's great to have someone like that.
It really is. It really is. Oh, but sorry, you're going to miss him today. He's eating. So that's one of the things about me working and being is I keep him on such a schedule so that no matter where we are, like it's still, he has a certain level of normalcy. Yeah. So we don't mess with the sleep and we don't mess with the food.
Yes. No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much for today. I know you did this as a favor for NJ, but I am so grateful that you did this because I've learned so much. It's not something I do. I'm just from my computer doing work. So this is even new for me, and I love the challenge. I love talking to you. It was definitely inspiring. Hopefully I didn't sound like a bumbling idiot through it.
No, thank you for thank you. I mean, you're putting way more on me than there is, but thank you. No, I really appreciate talking. I think you guys are doing a great thing. So any way in which I can help and promote it, you know, it's just really important, and people need to, it's a certain time and everyone needs to grasp the opportunity that's out there, especially people of color. So for sure.
I agree. Thank you so much. Do have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy.
Right, catch up later.
Okay. Take care.